Good evening, everyone. Welcome. I'm Zen Master Sebastian Rizzon, and I'm the founding master of the Zen Art Center and the Mind Light Way School of Zen Arts. I lead these guided meditations on the first Thursday of every month, and I hold a Dharma talk and a group meditation on the third Thursday of every month at 7 p.m., both of these classes. And you can also find it streamed live or anytime after on the Zen Art Center YouTube channel. So I lived in a Buddhist temple for 16 years with my teacher, great Zen Master Changsi Kim. And the lessons and techniques I'm teaching in this class are all derived from my experiences studying and teaching for nearly 20 years now. Zen is a practice which points us to the Dharma teachings of Buddha. Dharma is the natural truth or the truth inherent in nature. To understand the truth, you need to uncover the foundation of all that we know. So, what's the origin of everything we perceive and all of our experiences? This question is a koan. Koans are part of Zen practice. A koan is a statement or a question that's supposed to cause you to think about things differently than you usually do. Everything we know is contained within our mind and experienced through our mind. In that sense, our mind is the foundation of everything we know. In order to understand the nature of truth, we must understand our mind. So, what is the mind? This is a koan I give to all of my students and everyone who comes to these classes. The way I teach Zen is called the Mind Light Way. The mind is the origin of everything we know. The light of your mind is what illuminates everything in the universe that you're aware of. This way, the way is the practice or the path to revealing and illuminating your mind. In Zen, we say that when you see your mind, that's getting enlightenment. The koans are the seeds that we plant in our mind. The seeds need the light of our mind to grow. Our thoughts are like weeds sprouting up all over the place, blocking the light. For our seeds to receive the light and grow, we need to clear out all of the weeds. In Zen meditation, we use meditation to clear our mind and clear out those weeds. So with that said, we'll move into the meditation. Typically, we sit with our legs crossed. Try to keep your back and neck straight. For most of these, we're going to have our eyes closed, but if your eyes were open, they'd be at a 45-degree angle looking at the floor. You want to have your hands with the right hand, left hand, touching thumbs, centered in your lap. You can also, if you're sitting in a chair, just try not to lean back on the chair. Try to sit up straight. And if you can keep your feet flat on the floor, that's good. But most importantly is that you're comfortable. I just recommend this position so that you don't slouch and hurt your back or something like that. Before we get started, I want to start with a breathing meditation, a breathing technique that can help you relax and prepare your body for meditation. So just start by breathing a little bit slower and a little bit deeper than you usually do. Visualize your heart in the center of your chest as you breathe. As you listen to me, I want you to keep slowing down your breath and breathing a little bit deeper. Feel your breath coming in through your nose and mouth and collecting all of the energy from your brain and moving it from your head into your heart. Imagine now that you're breathing with your heart. The purpose of this is to try to align our mind, heart, and body. You can also place your hand on your heart and close your eyes if you'd like. Just keep breathing a little bit slower and a little bit deeper. This is a technique that you can use to relax or reset yourself whenever you feel nervous or anxious, or whenever you need to switch gears from different things you're doing throughout the day. You can use it when you wake up, before you enter a stressful meeting, before you go to sleep, or before you meditate. So let's just take a few more moments and take some slow and deep breaths. One of the most basic meditation techniques you can use is breathing meditation. In traditional Zen meditation, we usually focus on a mantra. The mantra is typically a word or a phrase that's repeated within your mind that's used to push out all of the other thoughts. In this part of class, we'll use our breath as the focus of our meditation. For this technique, we'll sit still and quietly count our breaths. During this meditation, try to stay focused on your breath. If you lose count, that's a sign that you've lost your focus. As soon as you have that realization, just start over again and start counting again. You can do this technique with your eyes opened or closed. If your eyes are open, your gaze should be towards the floor. So let's practice this together for a few minutes. You can open your eyes if you like. Next, we're going to go through a series of meditations which can help you set your intentions for your life. The first is a meditation on gratitude. We're just going to take a few minutes to remind ourselves of the reasons we have to be grateful and give thanks within our minds. For example, I always like to remind myself to be thankful for my health, my family, my friends, and my teachers. The things that you're thankful for could be very general or very specific. That's up to you. No matter how bad things get in my life at times, I always like to remind myself that I still have plenty to be thankful for. That helps me keep a positive perspective and an outlook in every circumstance. Now I want you to close your eyes for a few minutes and think about the things in your life that you're thankful and grateful for. If you can't think of a long list of things to be thankful for right now, that's okay. You can just repeat a few things that you're thankful for as if they're your mantra. the next meditation, I want to focus on forgiveness. This can be a really difficult one. It's not always easy to forgive, but it can be an essential part of healing ourselves. Here we're going to take a moment to forgive ourselves and the others in our lives. This is a chance to acknowledge our mistakes and the mistakes of others that have caused us harm and express our forgiveness. This is not to make an excuse for the harm that's been done or the person that caused the harm. It's more to acknowledge that harboring feelings of anger, hatred, and resentment can prevent us from being compassionate, and this can stunt our own personal growth. This doesn't mean that you have to welcome someone back into your life that's harmed you, or that you should continue to expose yourself to harm in any way. It's more about empowering yourself to remove the shackles that the harm have caused you so that you can move on from that burden. Let's take a few minutes to forgive ourselves and others for the mistakes that were made and the harm that's been done. Let's also pray that we don't continue to harm others in ways which cause unnecessary suffering. So let's close our eyes for a few minutes and focus on forgiveness. Now we're going to take a few minutes to focus on affirmations. Affirmations are positive phrases or statements that are repeated within our mind with the intention of cultivating a positive mindset. The ideas behind affirmations is to reinforce positive thoughts and to motivate ourselves to focus on our strengths, our goals, and desired outcomes. Affirmations can be anything that's meaningful to you. But here are a few ideas you can use that I like to use. Each breath is a mantra that clears my mind. My actions are my mantra. My mantra keeps me focused on each moment. Meditation keeps my mind clear and ready to embrace whatever arises. I'm liberated from my attachment to my thoughts, opinions, and desires. Each breath connects me to the world around me. Love and compassion fill my heart and guide my actions. My destiny is to attain enlightenment. I believe in myself and my ability to stay true to my path. Use your affirmations as a mantra during this meditation. Now let's take a few minutes to remind ourselves of our intentions and our aspirations. Now we're going to focus on our prayers. You can pray for yourself, the world, and the universe. I usually pray for good health, happiness, and success in my endeavors. I also pray for the good health and good fortune of my family, friends, teachers, and enlightenment for everyone in the world. You can pray for a friend or a family member who's sick. You can pray for peace and harmony in the world. You can pray for anything you want. When you pray, the air collects your prayers and brings them out into the world, where they gather and create potential. The more you pray, the more potential you create. So let's take a few minutes to focus on our prayers. So the gratitude and prayer meditations are something I personally do every day before I bow and chant. Forgiveness is something I focus on more when I feel anger or resentment. Today we've planted the seeds which affirm ourselves, our gratitude, our ability to forgive, and our prayers. Now we can move into the traditional mantra meditation to clear our mind of all the extraneous thoughts that grow like weeds. This will allow the seeds that we want to nurture and grow to become the beautiful flowers that we imagine. You can use the previous techniques that we used to set your intentions and create clarity in your life. However, if you want to understand the mind and experience enlightenment, you need to push beyond your thoughts and words to a realm that transcends all of your thoughts and conceptual understandings. To reach this point, you have to completely empty your mind. In Zen, we use meditation to help us reach this point. The traditional technique we use is Zen is the mantra meditation. The mantra is the focal point of meditation, usually a word or a phrase that's repeated within your mind. If you try not to think about anything, thoughts inevitably will come into your mind. When you're focusing on a mantra, you can use it to push out all of the other thoughts. When you meditate on a mantra, try to let go of your feelings, your opinions, and desires. As you meditate, only concentrate on your mantra. If any thought comes, let it pass and return to focusing on your mantra. You can really use anything you want as a mantra during your meditation, but if you don't have a mantra you want to use, I usually suggest the mantra of Kwansam Bosal. Kwansam Bosal is the name of the bodhisattva of love and compassion in Korean Zen. A bodhisattva is a revered teacher in Buddhism dedicated to helping others. Kwansam Bosal is often depicted with thousands of eyes and hands, and is said to be able to see the suffering of everyone and help those who call out her name. Using this mantra will bring compassionate energy towards you while you're meditating. Drawing compassionate energy towards you is like giving water to your seeds. Once again, the mantra is Kwansam Bosal. Kwansam Bosal. Now let's just use that mantra and try to clear out our minds of everything. So the mantra meditation can be a useful tool for clearing your mind. Having a clear mind can have all sorts of benefits for your life. It sharpens your focus and concentrations, which helps you make better decisions. A clear mind leads you to less stress, anxiety, and depression. But you can't just sit quietly and meditate the whole day. You have to live your life. So how do you keep your mind clear when you're not meditating? You have to learn to focus on your actions like they're your mantra. This means you have to be completely focused on whatever you're doing and not let your mind wander. This practice is what I call moving meditation. So anything you can do can be a moving meditation. I find the best way to practice this technique is by doing an activity you enjoy. It could be an artistic endeavor like drawing, painting, writing, or making music. It could also be a sport or a physical endeavor like yoga, weightlifting, riding a bike, skateboarding, or martial arts. Engaging in a physically challenging activity will also make your body stronger, which is vital for maintaining your mental health. Even walking can be a form of meditation if you engage all your senses to focus on your surroundings. This elevated awareness will enrich your experience of everything going on around you. If you want to improve the effectiveness of these techniques, you'll need to practice them. My suggestion is to start by doing a few of these techniques every day. Start by doing 1 or 2 of these sitting techniques for a few minutes a day. Try by doing, 1 to 5 minutes in the morning, but try to do it every single day. This will help you start out each day with a clear mind. Then try adding 15 minutes of a physical activity a few days a week. Do some stretching or go for a walk or a bike ride. It could be anything anything physical that you enjoy doing that helps you clear your mind. Then try adding 30 minutes of a creative practice a couple days a week and make this part of your weekly routine. If you do this each week, it will transform your routine into a ritual for your health. As this becomes easier, you can expand your practice, but always try to do at least a little bit every single day. Consistent practice is the key to making these techniques work for you. These types of practices will help you to learn to be present in each moment. Eventually, you can turn everything you do into a meditation. You can meditate on doing your dishes, cleaning the house, gardening, and the work you do for your job. Learning to harness this type of concentration and focus will make you better at everything you do, and it'll help you clear your mind. If you practice like this, you'll develop a routine that is constantly clearing out your mind, no matter what you're doing. If you take anything with you from this class today, remember this. Plant your seeds, set your intentions, and challenge yourself with deep questions. Clear your mind. Use sitting and moving meditation to incubate those seeds. If you keep going like this, eventually you'll see beautiful flowers blossoming all around you. The fruit of all your work will be a clear mind that allows you to find harmony within the world. I wish you all good luck on your journeys. And this is the part where I will take questions and answers about anything to do with any of the meditations or the mind or anything else that you're curious about. Feel free to ask away. And usually this is the most interesting part of class.
I do have a question.
Yeah.
What pushed you to go? You said you lived in a monastery?
Yeah, it was a temple. It was not technically a monastery, but
Okay.
yeah, it was a Buddhist temple. Yep.
What sparked that?
What sparked that? Well, a lot of things coming together, I would say. First of all, I think I always had a real interest in meditation and Buddhism, but it was more of a fascination in that, like, I wasn't really meditating that much. So, but I was always fascinated by the idea of enlightenment and trying to clear your mind. So I had this real deep curiosity about it I got from reading books, but I wasn't applying it to my own life. And I also just felt like something was missing from my life. And then a few things, like I had like a pretty bad breakup in my life, and then with someone I had, deep feelings for, and then also I was really unsatisfied with my job, and I think the culmination of all of those things kind of pointed me, left a big void, but then also someone pointed me in the direction of the temple. When they saw me like that, they were like, oh, there's this temple down the street. I know you're interested in Eastern philosophy, and they taught martial arts there too. So I started doing martial arts, so that's why I'm always advocating for the physical part of the practice as well, because that really helped me calm my body so I could get into the meditations. So I just started going there after work, started taking classes there, and within a couple of months, it just was filling everything that I felt like I was missing. It started to fill that hole I felt. And after a couple months, I ended up moving in. And then I lived there for 16 years after that. But I didn't know how long I was going to be there. I thought it was more of an experiment, but it just it was challenging, but it was really helping make me feel like I was my life was more complete, you know. And all the things I've taught today are things I got from my teacher. They were really helpful to me, and that's why I eventually ended up starting this school, so I could try to pass these on to other people. So, in a nutshell, that's what motivated me to move in.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's definitely something that's crossed my mind this past year or so. So I'm interested to kind of hear how that went. But I do have another question.
Yep.
Meditation, you say, really helps clear you up. Do you think there's a lot of discipline involved in it as well, or just the practice of it?
Yeah, I think I guess when I would say discipline in the sense that you have to be self-disciplined, like you have to remind yourself to practice, and that's why I think the consistency is the key. I think you don't have to move into a temple to accomplish any of these things, to have a clear mind, to meditate. For me, it was just it really helped to be in that environment. So eventually, I'd like to have my own residential program at some point. I'm just not quite there yet, and but just because I want to provide that space. But this is supposed to be my non-residential community to help people, you know, have a community, people to encourage each other to meditate, and that helps with not having to be so self-disciplined. If you kind of are committed to coming to a meditation class, it helps you at least remind yourself, and then it's a little easier to do it on your own. But I think the most important thing that I learned from my teacher was do it every day, and just practice every day. And you don't have to kill yourself. It just has to be consistent. And then you can learn how to just start with something you can do. You know, start with a minute, sit on the side of your bed when you wake up, or, you know, you can do it before you go to sleep. I usually say in the beginning, because then you know you'll get it done. And then your mind's clear for the rest of the day. But just having that little bit of discipline is actually really difficult, like, to do it. It's easy the first day, but it's hard to do it for 10 days in a row. And if you do it for a month, you'll probably realize it's starting to make some significant changes. And if you ended up doing it for like 100 days, I bet you'll probably want to do it every day for the rest of your life. Like, that's how significant the changes were for me. After I made it through 100 days, I was like, I think I'm going to try and do this for the rest of my life, because it really had a powerful impact on me. So I think the first few days really require a little more like self-discipline and retraining yourself. But after that, I think it can become a more natural thing. It became something I really looked forward to after a while. But the first 10 days are the hardest. So I think if you can get through that, you'll start to feel some of the benefits to that. And just my suggestion would be just start with something you think you can do. You know, a minute every day is literally 7 minutes a week. It's not a huge commitment. You probably spend more time than that brushing your teeth. So if you think it's important to you, I think you can prioritize it in that way. And then you can learn just to expand it. And I think the real key to keeping your mind clear is learning how to turn the other things you're doing into a meditation, trying to learn how to focus on what you're doing. Then you're not going to your mind is not going to wander. So I saw you come in with a skateboard today, right? When you're skateboarding, you're probably not thinking about like, oh, what are my friends doing? You're focused on what you're doing. It kind of forces you to do that, right?
Yeah, that's like one of the best meditations in my life is ruminations.
Yeah, so
Forced to do it, stay focused.
so for me it was martial arts, and my teacher taught me martial arts, and learning to do that and learning how to treat that as a meditation and recognizing that it is a meditation practice really helped me turn a corner as far as like convincing myself to sit and meditate as well, and understand like the value you get out of that. So you probably feel good after you skateboard for a while, right?
Yeah,
Because
endorphins
yeah,
flowing.
and you can get the same sort of effects out of meditation as well. I think you get a little more, um, you probably get different things out of the physical stimulation too, but mentally you can get a lot of the same clarity out of those types of practices. From before I started meditating or even knew anything about meditation, I was a snowboarder. And that was like one of the things that forced me to focus on what I was doing. And I always felt so good after it, even if I beat myself up, like falling and stuff. I always felt great afterwards, and I think it's because it is a form of meditation. So I think if you can learn how to turn things you enjoy, like some people like playing guitar, some people like drawing. That's why I call this the Zen Art Center, because it's all different types of arts, and learning how to turn that into a meditation, learning how to turn everything you're doing into a meditation, and also learning how to use the sitting meditation as a way to inspire other parts of your life, whether they're the creative practices, improving your physical endeavors like martial arts or skateboarding, those kind of things. Using those visualization on those types of things is another way of using that activity as a mantra. So when you're sitting, you could imagine yourself doing a certain technique you've been struggling with, something like that. And that actually does really improve when you go to do it in the physical reality portion of your life. So, and I found the same things with writing and drawing and painting, that it has very much the same effect. And I learned all that through my teacher, and I also learned how to apply it to other things I was doing. And in the temple life, a lot of it is focusing on really mundane things like doing your dishes, cleaning up around the temple. My teacher was like really strict about making sure you did your dishes correctly. If he saw you didn't clean them well, he's like, oh, your mind wasn't clear when you were doing that. Or if you were supposed to sweep the floor and he finds a piece of dust on the floor, he was like, who swept the floor last night? Like, you missed a spot. You obviously weren't focused on what you were doing. Don't let your mind wander. Keep focused on what you're doing. So, so that's how he was kind of like trying to keep us disciplined in ourselves. And there was like many nights where, not many, but there was a few nights where we were supposed to take the compost out at night, and I forgot to do that. And he came at like 3 a.m. and knocked on my door and was like, you forgot to take the compost out. And I was like, oh. I got up and did it. That happens a few times. You never forget again.
Yeah.
So I guess that is a form of discipline, to answer your question.
Yeah.
But I think you can also, find people to help you with that, or, you really can, you can do it by yourself, but I'm saying I needed some help with it. So sometimes you need some reminders. And I think in Zen, that's the reason for your teacher. It's to help you, remind you of these things, and keep them present in your own mind so that you stay focused on them. And then he can't do anything for you. He can't make you better at any of these things. He just reminds you, or he or she reminds you of what you're supposed to be doing. And then that constant reminder, like my teacher passed away 3 years ago. I still hear him telling me to do things. So I think I'll always have him as like teaching me, even though he's not present in my life physically.
Yeah.
So yeah, any other questions from anybody, or follow-ups, or?
You have any questions? I keep going.
Yeah, keep going. If you don't, if
I have a comment before you go, like just
Yeah.
jumping on what you said. From my experience important having a community.
It's one of the reasons I came tonight.
Yeah, and it's so important because you're like, we're all in it together and we're all advancing together. There's like such a support. Um, Everybody's gonna fail at some point, and then the important part is to pick yourself up and then do it again.
Yeah.
So that's what the community is for.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that in case anybody didn't hear it, but I think it's a really good point. So the commentary was on community and having a community being important. And in Buddhism, they have what they call the three jewels, which are the Buddha, which is the teacher, the Dharma, which is the teachings, and the Sangha, which is community. So those are the three, foundational elements to the Buddhist practice. So, so that's what I'm trying to, create here is that type of Sangha. I also have like art classes and writing classes here. So if you're ever interested in joining one of those, right now I have them once a month. I have these meditations twice a month. So you're welcome to come to all of those and join our community as well. So.
Yeah, it's huge. It's hard to find in the city. I feel like it's ironic. There's so many people, but when you come in from outside, it's like almost everybody already has their community, right? And it's hard to sometimes form into that. So definitely grateful to be able to come here tonight. It was nice to get outside of the house.
Yeah, definitely. I felt much the same way when I was your age. I think I moved into the temple. You mentioned how old you were. I think I moved into the temple like around that time in my life. So it's kind of the same place I was at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. So that's really the main motivator for me to teach and to have this space for people who were like me, 20 years ago before I had found this. So.
Yeah, it's been pretty monumental in my life recently. I was a couple months ago, last April, I was in a bad car accident, and like statistically speaking, I shouldn't have lived. It was at a very high rate of speed, and since then, meditation has been a huge part. But someone gave me a book called "You Are Here" by Thich Nhat Hanh, and that kind of became like my little bit of a Bible. And before that, I was reading a lot of Ram Dass. Let it be here now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that book really helped me. But like you say, just being mindful in each part of your day, I think is such a transferable skill, which will increase those skills no matter what it is. Because I've just stopped bringing my phone down when I eat breakfast. It's so much more of an enjoyable process.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that where we get programmed to do just through cultural pressures, things like that, technology. I mean, technology can be great, but it can also be, and also some of the technology is trained to make you want to use it. So it's programmed specifically to do that. So you gotta be aware of that and kind of practice the non-attachment to things, not being attached to your phone. That's a big part of Zen and Buddha's practice, is not attaching to things, trying to let go of those attachments, trying to free yourself from all of that, because those kind of attachments are where the excess suffering comes from. Like some suffering you can't control, but like when you cling on to things and like you're like thinking about, who might be texting you when you don't have your phone, like that is unnecessary suffering. So there's countless examples of that we get subjected to. So yeah, so I think that's very valid, and I'm glad you've started to see some of that. I also had, before I found my teacher, I was reading books. I had a couple of those books. Tao Te Ching was one of the ones that I kept. I used to keep a pocket version of it in my pocket and read it on my lunch break. But I also was having a hard time living some of the lessons I was reading, and I think that's where the community really helped me. Just coming to a class, finding a place where I was going to a class where other people were interested in this kind of things. And it is strange. We have these big cities, but not a lot of I never after years in the city, I had groups of friends, but I never had the kind of community where I really felt like I was being encouraged to, understand myself more and get more out of my own life and find purpose in my life. And that's really what I want to do, is create a community like that, starting in this space, but I'd love to grow it too. And I think, Boston can be a particularly challenging one because people are always coming and going. It's a very, transient city. People live here for a few years and then move out. So me finding my community was one of the first places I found, like a stable group of people. People were still coming in and out, but there was always a core group of people that were there. And my teacher was like the sun. He was always there, every day, someone you could count on if you needed him. So yeah, I hope to fill his shoes in some ways now that he's gone. So.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you very much.
Any other questions? We're about 15 minutes past 8, so I do want to make a few announcements before everybody heads out. This same class is basically the first Thursday of every month, so you can set your calendars on it. The third Thursday of every month, I do a Dharma talk where I talk. It's less types of meditation. We only do the mantra meditation. But I talk more about the mind and what that is, and Zen, and some of the concepts in Buddhism to try and tie together some of these ideas and help you find those, hopefully inspire you to find those deeper truths within yourself. So that one's about half me talking and then half of meditation. And I also do question and answer at the end of those. So that's in 2 weeks from tonight. I'd love to see you here again if you enjoyed this class. That is probably the most public teaching I give every month. So, and then I also mentioned I do the writers group and an art group. So we just get together in the Zen Writers and Poets Society. It's just a writing group. We work on our writing. We share a little bit. And then we also just practice a little bit of meditation and learn how to apply that to the writing process and use it as a source of inspiration. That's this Sunday, November 10th, from 3:30 to 5. So if you're interested, and I think that's always going to be on the second Sunday of every month if you can't make it this month. And then I do the Zen Art Collective, which is the art group. Same idea. We're just creating art together. It can be any art form that you can bring here. So all you need to have is to be creative. You don't need any other prior experience making anything. And that will be this month, Saturday, November 16th, from 3:30 to 5. And this is all also on my website or in the meetup group. I think you found me through Meetup. So those are all listed there as well. That one's usually the 4th Saturday, but I had to bump it up a week this month because I have open studios on the 4th weekend of the month. Yeah, all of this is on my website, zen-artcenter.com, or the Meetup page. And let me know if you have any questions. Also, please sign up for my email list if you want to get updated. I usually send a couple emails a month, so I try not to overwhelm you. One newsletter and one reminder of the Dharma talk. Yeah, and in closing, I try to keep these classes free, but I do rely solely on donations. So if If you can afford to make a donation, I have a little donation jar or a Venmo back in the back, and I appreciate anything you can do. And that's what's going to allow me to keep this place going. So, and you're all also invited to hang out and chat for a little bit if you want to strike up a conversation or ask any more questions about what we do here. But thank you so much for coming. Really appreciate it. That was one of the things in my gratitude meditation. I said I was thankful to having you here tonight. So appreciate it.